Hello, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay here. We pretty much went right as the workday ended. You can see I'm just now logging in. I still have to claim my login reward. So we are just getting started, but I also got to get started up and set up on the tier list. We're making a Mythic tier list. I haven't done this in a while, and because of that, there's brand new Mythics. And also, too, I feel like the last one just needs a little bit more fine-tuning, right? So I figured, what better way to make a tier list than by doing it with all of yous? Because then, if people disagree with the rankings, I can just blame all of YouTube and/or Twitch, depending on where the recommendation came from, and therefore I can't be blamed for any of it. So you guys are the perfect scapegoat. I'd be like, well, Twitch gave it a 9, so like I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like they said that Crypt Cannon was the best mythic in the game. Like that's on them. I didn't tell them to do that. How's it going, JR Billy? I don't know why your message didn't pop up on the thing. Might have not been flipped over to that screen yet. But thank you guys all for stopping on over. I'm just gonna make sure that I get our stuff set up here. Let's switch us over to the Mac. I gotta. There we go. Turn off any suspicious folders that might. I'm just kidding. How's it going, Aeroful? I also do have to make somebody's gear. They requested that I make them a set. I'm going to be kind of doing two things at once. But so here's the tier list. I'm going to be going and getting their stuff ready here. Almost that's why I'm looking off to the side, because that's how I see my Xbox. So what I'm thinking, but this is also if you guys are like, hey, Jake, I think that we could do this a better way. To me, S tier is a 10 out of 10. That is, if a mythic is a staple of something. So when you think staples, like you think like Sergeant's Mail, right, is a staple of heavy attack builds, right? If a build, why is this shifted over, by the way? What the heck? I just now realized that this is off center. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. This moved over incorrect. There we go. I don't know what that is. If Oakensoul is an S tier, we riot. Well, I mean, I would say Oakensoul is probably a staple of one bar build and builds in general. So I don't plan to do anything controversial. Lost audio. Did anybody else lose the audio? I can still hear the audio on my YouTube chat. Let's still popping through. It's back. Okay. All right, that's weird. Oh gosh. My cat is sitting right in front of me. She may chirp if I pet her here. There you go. I don't know if you can hear that or not because of the mic monitoring. I have her handy dandy laser pointer distractor toy, which works wonders when I'm trying to get my stream set up. Because every time I get stuff set up, she's like, "Oh, can I just come sit on this?" And I'm like, "I would prefer if right. Where's the laser pointer? I don't know what's happening. I think it might be dying. Oh no, no." The laser pointer pet is not. Probably shouldn't look directly at it. Yeah, it looks like it's dead. Looks like it's not charged. So that is not ideal. Not an ideal way to start. Does that mean she's gonna try to sit on everything? But that's fine. We'll go through that. So this is my thoughts so far. Tell me if you think about this. So S tier, it's 10. It's a staple only. So just because something is really, really good, not a 10. 10 are like, this is the staple of PvP. This is the staple of PvE. This is the staple of healing. This is the staple of DPS. Whatever. A tier, think of like excellent sets. That's like if you were to put this between a 9.0 and a 9.9, that is an A tier set. B tier, we're going to think to ourselves, that's like an 8 to an 8.9. That's a great set. So it's not, excellent, which I would say is 9 or maybe fantastic or another synonym, right? So B is your 8s. And then C's are your 7s. That's like, it's good. It's not great. It's good, And then 6 is like, it's above average, so it's not terrible. And I'm actually going to put that in here to reflect that so that way people don't get confused. Not a 1, that'd be awkward. work thing keeps buzzing, so I might go check to make sure that that's not like anything tragic going on. It's probably everybody talking about the holiday party. What does everybody think about this, though? Is everybody like, okay, yeah, that makes sense? Or is everybody like, Is there any discontent in, if these are the rankings? There you go. There's your funny number, too. What does everybody think of this? And I'm not dead set on doing it this way, but to me, this just makes the most, like, logistical sense when it comes to, like, how we look at Mythic. So I'm just going to check my work computer real quick to make sure that there's no, like, catastrophic emergency. So if you guys can, give me some feedback. Just say, like, 1, or it's good, or yes, I like it, or say no, and then I would change this or this, or type 2 if you think I should look at it. So I'll be right back. It was exactly what I thought it was. It was nothing important. You just got into the game a week ago. Your videos are helping a lot. Well, thank you, Matthew. If there's anything that you think are missing, let me know, because I'm always looking at, what videos are old, what needs to be redone, and stuff like that, because it's always... I don't like to unlist old videos, so I never know what YouTube is like. If you're new to ESO, watch this, and then it's like a Scrib Jelly video, and you're like, why do I need to know that? Like, well, what's so relevant about that? So I always, like to keep that in mind too. So if there's things that you think are missing, just let me know. But so here's the tier list, and we're going to be starting with a contentious one because I don't recognize rings super well, but I'm pretty sure this is the Pale Order ring. I'm actually pulling up. The reason I loaded ESO actually was so that I could fact check myself on which mythic is which, because I don't always recognize them based on their appearance. But I'm pretty sure this is that ring. Oh no, I was wrong. So we're already wrong off the bat. I thought that was a completely different ring. It's not. That is this is the Malacath Band of Brutality. An updated no mythic DK burn build. I could make a video on some builds. I actually have been, so normally my go-to response is like, hey, I don't really do a whole lot of like build videos, but I've actually been testing out quite a few builds, for different classes just to get back into it. So yeah, because that's one of the classes that I've been interested in doing. Yeah, I could do that. So this, by the way, for those who are unaware, what this does is increases your damage by 16%, but decreases your critical damage done by 50%. So anybody have any initial thoughts? Just throw out a number rating. So we've got S tier 10, A tier 9s, B tier 8s, C tier 7s, D tier 6s, and below 5. So that's like, if it's below 5, it's as if you're just putting on a random, gobbledygook garbage thing. So Malacath's Band of Brutality is interesting in the sense that I only know... I think it's really only used in like werewolf builds? Yeah, I think 7 seems like a good starting point to think out loud, because 7 is like, it's good, it's not great. Ooh, we get a B tier, so we have people between 7s and 8s. So I'm indecisive too, because it's like you could build this into a very... Ooh, back into the C tier again, 7s. My initial thinking is that pretty much everybody that's going to use this is going to use it in a very particular way. So it's very narrow in scope, which you never like in a mythic. It's already narrow in scope, and it's narrow in utilizations. A scribed skills only build. The pay to winner. You know, that'd be funny. You use a DLC only class with DLC only skills, and then we'll use DLC only armor. You know, we'll call it pay to win. You know, that would actually be a really funny idea, or a fun idea too. Just because you could basically pick all your stuff. Although I don't know if you have enough skills to make 2 skill bars worth, because you'd have to. Something I'd have to look into. What are we thinking, chat? Keep throwing out some numbers here. Let's keep the discussion going, because I don't want to be the arbiter of you know, where these things land. My cat jumped back up here. Hey Jake, so sorry, my cat's blocking your message. Oh, and she just minimized my thing. Thank you for the follow, Zilmaddie, or XII Maddie XII. What is that? The 12th? Well, technically, I guess it's 24. Hey, Jake, dropping by really fast to say that I really appreciate your videos and who you are in the community. Well, thank you, St. Augustine of a Hippo. And feel free to stick around, too. Thanks for stopping in. Would a mythic or a monster set be better on a werewolf? Truthfully, the Oakensoul Ring is probably better on a werewolf. We'll get there, obviously. But Malacath's Band of Brutality is also not a very, cool mythic to discuss. Maybe we just throw this... We have more people put it in the C tier. Maybe we just chuck it there and just kind of move on and go, okay, we'll see what comes up next. All right, so this next one is also interesting because it is Pearls of Ehlnofey, something. When you attempt to use a resource to cast a healing ability while in combat, and your dominant resource is under 50%, you gain 3 ultimate. Thank you for the follow, no name Fausty. So again, that's when you attempt to use a resource to cast a healing ability while in combat, and your dominant resource is under 50%, gain 3 ultimate. S tier. You think that's a staple? What staple would you put that in? I do agree that you can use this to some good utilization, but would you say that it's a staple mythic? And as we discuss these things out loud, too, I just want to point out a staple set doesn't mean that it's a staple of, something that's popular, right? So when we say staple of, heavy attack builds, for example, well, heavy attacking is very popular. 10 out of 10 for healers. I think that's fair. Do you guys think, is there any disagreement with putting this as a staple for healing? But I don't know, Daddy, why the chat stopped. It says it's working here. How's it going, the Big Willie? See, look, first time messages. You can also see, too, that I have minutes as the lowest possible at 60 seconds per hour. So please don't castrate me if you guys get too many ads, because I turned them down as far as possible. Ooh, be it best. Oof, division. All right, I think I can start. Can I start a poll from my phone? Let me see if I can. I don't want to start a goal. You could start a goal for super chats on YouTube. I don't want to do that. How do you start a poll? Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm gonna switch you back to a different screen real quick while I see if I can start a YouTube poll. Just because I don't know what information it's gonna show when I load up YouTube. I don't know why it's... Can you not... How do you do a live stream? I could super chat myself. That's helpful. Oh, here we go. Start a poll. I'm like, why would you... Why is it that I can super chat myself, but I can't make a poll? All right. Here we go. Pearls... Because this is a hard one, because, support stuff is always so difficult to grade, because its utilizations are so niche. Added options. So we got 10, 9, 8, and I'll throw in 7 as well. All right. There it is. Here's the poll. I don't know why the chat it did that. Like, I don't know why it did that below, but whatever. All right, so the poll is live. Oof. We have some division. Oh, some vote changes. Well, that is going. It realistically, it is hard to grade these mythics because their utilization is very specific. What? Oh, I'm looking at. Sorry about that. We'll go back to the poll. That way you guys aren't sitting there watching yourselves. Ironically enough, I can't even see my poll on my phone. That's so weird. All right, so here's the poll. So it is split 40% and 40% 8. Ironically, 9 has 0% votes, and then we have some votes as 7. So that's not ideal when you're trying to come to a consensus about a mythic. We don't even have anybody voting for the middle option. We just have people who have strong opinions one way or another. So we'll let that go for a few. It's fascinating. It's so divisive. What's your go-to just for fun versus to play effectively? Probably Nightblades. When it's just for fun, I like to play a Nightblade. I also don't get recognized on my Nightblade account as often, so like people don't message me as often, so I don't have to feel as locked in. Not that like, people will send you nasty messages, but like if you're like playing, the game, like I don't want to, have a bad day and just get waxed and, gray host. They'll be like, this Jake guy sucks, Like I feel like I got to be locked in because if not, I'll see a YouTube video like killing Jake in one shot, as a YouTube clip. Thank you, Ordinand Cake for the raid with 10 people. We're making a tier list right now. If you guys can help divide us. So ironically I only put the poll on YouTube, but we're trying to figure out pearls. Should it be a 10, a 9, an 8, or a 7? Thank you guys for stopping by. And I probably butchered your name, and I'm so sorry. You guys just want to chuck out some numbers here. I don't know where I'd land. I would probably split it. So we have the poll on YouTube is split. Where's the poll on YouTube looking like? Yeah, it's still split between 10, 8, and 7. I think we're still split. Cake is fine. Hope you had a good evening. I hope you do too. 10 for a healer. Yeah. And that is how we rate it, is what's its best utilization. We try to keep everything, what's the best way to use it. But what do you guys think? You guys that are just stopping by, do you think it's fair to put it as a 10? There's quite a few people who think that it should be either an 8 or a 7. And while we're doing that too, I have some crafted gear to make for some viewers. So if you guys also need any crafted gear and you play on Xbox and A, just let me know. I promise there's only a small chance that I make it incorrectly. It's always really funny when you like make something and then you go to upgrade it, to give it to whoever, is going to use it. And you're like, wait a minute. There's no trade on this. That's all right, Matthew. Thanks for being here. And if you need anything crafted and you play on Xbox, just let me know. I think what we'll do... How are we looking? Well, technically 10 out of 10 is winning. We'll throw a 10 out of 10, but we can revisit it. So the tiers are... How's it going, Snoggo? What we're doing is rating it in... I know, sorry, for playing on Xbox. So we're rating things based on their best utilization. So a 10 out of 10 is like a staple of a type of content. It doesn't necessarily have to be a popular version of content. So let's say this is the #1 arena mythic, right? Or the #1 healing mythic, or the #1 Nightblade mythic for PvP. That's what we would put as the staple. But if its best utilization is a 9, then it would go in the A tier. Like a 7. Going against our own vote poll. Maybe we'll just leave it to the side for now. What we'll do is we'll split all the differences. I can't put things in a half. We'll just throw it 9. The next one is probably a little bit less divisive, but I think that there's definitely a good conversation on if it should be one of 2 tiers, and it is the Pale Order Ring. Pale Order Ring is one of the more popular mythics in the game. What it does, for those of you who don't know, restore 20% of the damage you deal as health. This value is decreased by 4% per ally you are grouped with. You cannot be healed by anybody but yourself, your pets, or your companions. And then, so this, it generally, when this came out, this thing was everywhere. Everybody loved the Pale Order Ring. The Pale Order Ring has not been used as much. I think its best utilization is probably still arena content. Like if you were like, Jake, I want to, complete Vate Strand, I would say slap on the Pale Order Ring, and you're going to be pretty successful in getting through a lot of those checks. Because I think, especially if you're newer, the difficulty in like a lot of that type of content, I feel, is just trying to misjudge your resources, healing yourself versus doing damage. It's a cheat code. It is pretty good. Oh, well, I didn't know about the negative for each party member. It's always been like that. I think it used to be different, but it was always, the value was decreased. But I think the value part might have been different. It's easy for Vate Strand. Yeah, it's very. I mean, too, you can use it for other arenas as well, like Maelstrom Arena. But ever since Power Creep, I don't think that you necessarily need to use this for Maelstrom Arena. I didn't quite catch that. Does a companion also decrease the effectiveness? I don't think so, yeah, because you cannot be healed per ally you were grouped with. Well, I don't think it counts. I don't know if it counts. It should, but they've reworded this. I don't know if I can find its original. Let me see if I can find its original wording to see if it was changed. Because they have rechanged this. Companions can heal you, but it says by per ally you are grouped with. But does that mean allies that you're grouped with, including your companions? Because it will pop up like if Isabel or whoever is with you. It'll be like, hey, they're in a group with you. Like they're in that group you're also in. So I don't know. Let me see if I can find the original wording. All right, somebody asked this very question. So they think the answer is yes. That it would be negated by companions. Huh. Yeah, it looks like it counts companions as group members. I don't know if that's an oversight or if that's intended. The wording on this is not very clear, because it's like, what if you're not grouped with another player? It doesn't count against you. But here's the thing that I think is important when it comes to the Pale Order Ring. Its best utilization is Vate Strand anyway, so companions are kind of irrelevant. Now, Infinite Archive, Pale Order is also decently popular, but also healing for 16%, if you're running it with a friend, is still pretty good, especially if you're trying to do some crazy fast, speedy damage output type builds. Yeah, that's why I think it does count, but it's the wording on it is unfortunately very convoluted. But so now we have that knowledge with ourselves here, and I realize that, why is this so far up? I don't know why my thing is shifted in such a weird way. I'm just shifting all this. I don't know why my screen is shifted so weirdly. So what do we think? That's the Pale Order wording. What do we think? We had some 10s, we had some 9s, and we had some 8s. Throw those opinions back out again. I would say definitely, and I want, when you're rating these, because this is how I do it. When you're recommending a mythic, you're recommending it on its best utilization. We don't have a B+ tier. You guys can't be doing that to me. Unless you're saying B+ is like an 8.8, and then I guess in that case it would be an 8. And what we'll do too at the end is, so say we do put this here, The ones further on the left, we'll say, are better. What episode is that, Matthew, that you're watching? It's okay, A tier. So what do you guys think? Pale Order. When it first came out, I would say it's an easy 10. Well, heck, Snago, you gotta think though. It's in its best utilization form. You know, for example, like this is why I do it this way. So a lot of people don't PvP, right? And a lot of PvPers don't really PvE. So if you just graded Mythics on the majority of the content that it was done in, you would have to kind of think to yourself like, only 30% of the of the community farms BGs, so Mythics that are good in BGs only get like a 30% buff, and then how much of the community content is done. Here's the cat, by the way. She keeps trying to crawl on the keyboard. You want to say anything into mic? Nope, nothing into. She doesn't want to say anything right now. So probably A. Yeah, I lean towards A. And I mean, to be fair, there are people who use this for PvP as well. That's why I try to grade things off their best utilization. Then, because you can always do like a TLDR. Its best utilization is this, but also it's good for these other things as well. So I try not to overcomplicate it, because if you try to think like, well, how many players in ESO all run heavy attack builds, then therefore all heavy attack builds gear set should get like these extra buff bonuses because it's so popular. It's just, whenever you try to rack your head around that, it just becomes crazy. It's a 9/0. It's there for solo survivability. Then he switched to 10. We'll leave it at 9, because we can always do like a rough draft. And as people come in, they trickle in, they go, Jake, what in the Sam hell is X Mythic doing in that tier? And you're like, oh, then we can change it. We can always go back and change these things. All right, so the next one, I forget which ring that is. Hang on, I'm looking. Ring of the Wild. Oh, this is such a hard one to do too. So this is Ring of the Wild Hunt. Increase your movement speed by 15% while in combat. Increase your movement speed by 45% while out of combat. Where do you put to me, I would put Ring of the Wild Hunt in S tier, because its best utilization is overland farming. You slap this with Stage 4 Vampire, slap this with all the resource farming equipment, and you just go to town in Craglorn, you can get tons of money. Go to Hollow City, steal all the stuff there, right out from under people. Take all the plants, boom. 10 for farming and thieving. But it's just so awkward because it's like most people are like, that's a form of content, and I'm like, to be fair, it is. Yeah. Farmers 10. All right, I'm glad that people are not going to riot in the comment section if I give this a 10. All right, so the next one is Torque of Tonal Constancy. I think I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's not the other Torque. There's another Torque. This is a different one. This one, while your stamina is less than 50%, increase your magicka recovery by 450. While your magicka is less than 50%, increase your stamina recovery by 450. That's the infinite. Yeah, this is the infinite sustain one. What does anybody have? Any strong opinions off the bat? Torque of Tonal. Oh, don't worry. We'll get to the Torque of the Alien King. We'll get there. Just like C tier for Torque. Any other strong opinions on the Torque? I don't like to give my opinion off the bat because I don't want to sway you. Because I don't want you guys to be like, well, if Jake says this, I should agree with him. I want you guys to list your opinions first. A 0. That's a hot take. I don't think it's quite a 0. A 0 is reserved for Vampire Lord, the greatest one in the game. Not too familiar with all the mythics. Yeah, no worries. If you guys don't have opinions too on the mythic as well, don't feel obligated to give an opinion. Joe says 10. What do you use this for? If you give it a 10. Some people have said 8. Got an 8. B tier. Okay. So what do you guys think its best? Because I actually don't really know. What is its best utilization? What do people say is its best utilization? Because, I mean, like, 450 magicka and stamina is not a lot per second. When you factor in that the other resource has to be below 50%. Now, I guess you could artificially hold yourself there, but the wacky part is that when your stamina is below that part, you're getting your magicka. When your magicka is below that part, you're getting stamina. So you could put this on some sort of like hybrid Dragon Knight PvP build that uses both magicka and stamina. And I don't think it's bad. Like if you if you took this and you put it on to discipline your kids with, you're gonna sit around and you're gonna play with the torque of tonal constancy the whole day, and you're gonna like it. So, like, I think its best utilization, you guys can see what it does here a little bit better on the left. I don't even own this because I don't even like it. But what it does, again, while your stamina is less than 50%, increase your magicka recovery by 450. While your magicka is less than 50%, increase your stamina recovery by 450. So it's very weird in that aspect. But I think let's imagine you took this on a Dragon Knight into PvP, right? I think that's probably the best build that uses both magicka and stamina that could effectively keep its resources below 50%. You're getting 450 magicka and stamina recovery. So I mean that's not bad. I think 7 is probably where I land on with this. Like I don't think it's offensive, and I don't think it's so bad that it hurts my soul. But I do think that it's just not great. I think it's good. I think it's not great. 7 feels kind of fair. Shapeshifters is definitely a bit of a controversial one. Now, the thing that's controversial about Shapeshifter's chain is that werewolves don't even like it anymore. Now, I used to see werewolves love this thing. My cat jumped. Evie, can you just pick a spot? She just keeps jumping around. So, what it does, reduce the cost of your transformation ultimate and your werewolf abilities by 15%. And then while transformed, you also increase your health, stam, and magicka by 1707. So it's not bad. A lot of people also forget. So it used to not have this. So it used to just reduce the cost of your werewolf ultimate by 15%. And at that point, it was hot garbage. But now it also reduces the cost of your werewolf abilities by 15%, which is pretty big in the sense that that was a big buff to it. The biggest problem this one has is that there's arguably quite a lot better mythics. Like realistically, there's just so many better options out there. But what do you guys think? I don't want to sway you, but let's just say let's say your boy made a werewolf build. He's using the best 2 5-piece sets, and he says, I'm slapping on the Shapeshifter's chain. Would you be like, yeah, that'll still do good? Or would you say, that would do fine? Would you say that would do excellent? Because I think a lot of times we dilute the conversation with, well, Oakensoul is S tier, so everything else for a werewolf is D tier. But I don't think that's fair. Let's say you didn't have access to Oakensoul, I think it's a 5? Let's say you didn't have access to Oakensoul, right? Let's just take that out of the picture. Because realistically, when you grade these things, you have to factor in that not, everything exists for everybody. They didn't come out in the same chapters. People might not have Oakensoul and this one. D tier? Guys are just slamming this thing. Keep throwing out some ideas, though. That helps me think out loud, too. I guess we can throw it in the D tier. It feels harsh. We got 5s and Ds, so it feels like that's where the writing on the wall is for this thing, even though I do respect it more than maybe some other people do. Now, next up we have Death Dealer's Feat. Now, Death Dealer's Feat is certainly unique because gain a persistent stack of... I'm not going to read what it does because it's going to confuse a lot of people. What it does, every 2 seconds you're in conflict, you increase your max stam, health, and magicka by 88. You could stack that up to 30 times. What's a good placeholder for Oaken while you're working? Depends, Matthew, on what type of stuff you're trying to do. If you're trying to do like PvE content, if you're trying to do PvP content, there's a lot of different things that you might want to do. So Death Dealer's Feet, just for context too, is also on. So all those Sork builds that are like constantly making everybody go nerf the sorcerer, they're all using Death Dealer's Feet, like pretty realistically. There might be some holdouts that are using like a different mythic, but I would say 99% of sorcerers right now, which is the S plus tier, are using this. Not just Sorks. That's true too. There are quite a few other classes that use this as well. I'm just saying it like the scummy sorcerers, it has everybody going, nerf shields, nerf sorcerers. It's because they can stack their resources ridiculously high with this mythic. So I lean towards this. To me is like a staple right now. It may change, but here's the thing is like even if it does change, which I think it will, it might just become more popular on other things. Like Wardens can use this to great effect as well. PvE mag temp tank. What do you mean temporary tank? I mean, then you're getting Oakensoul. Are you what I should? Or what when you say that? Are you saying like, are you making yourself a tank so that way it's easier to farm like PvE content for like dungeons, and then you can like get gear that you need? Is that what you mean by temporary tank? The next one is, I believe this is Bloodlord's Embrace. Bloodlord's Embrace also does quite a lot, but basically, when you block a cursed enemy, you restore 1605 magicka. Oh my gosh, Templar! I I don't know why my mind, because in my defense, somebody commented this the other day. Did the sound go out? No, I don't think the sound went out. Did my sound go out? But you guys hear me? In my defense, somebody had said yesterday that they spec themselves basically as a healer. That way they can get into content super fast. So when people say temp, I'm like, oh, you're temporarily doing a different role. So that way you can then spec into something else. You know, because it makes sense. Like if you wanted to go get a bunch of dungeon sets, right? You just slap that on, you're good to go. Thank you, Matthew. But Matthew, do you mean Templar or did you mean temporary? I just want to make sure before I give you advice. I will say universally, regardless of the type of content that you're doing, I think Bloodspawn is an easy, cheap monster set to get early on in the game. I don't know if you guys have any other monster set recommendations, but I think Bloodspawn is just an easy one. It comes from Spindle Clutch, which you could probably do blindfolded. It's very easy to get completed even on Veteran, and then you just got to use some Undaunted keys to get the shoulders. I think that's probably... No, so you do mean Templar, sorry. Because, you could suggest, like, oh, just until you get the Oakensoul Ring, go get Zons. And then it's like, well, at that point, like if you're going to take the time to go and farm, like to me, Bloodspawn is probably like an A tier set. And if you're just using that until you can get something better, I would say your best bet, and you want to build a 1-bar like Oakensoul build, is to do that. Grothdar is good too, but where does Grothdar come from? I'm trying to think like what are some easy dungeon sets to do, because like you want a stepping stone your way, up, right? Truthfully too, you probably could just go get the Oakensoul ring as well. Chuden, I don't think would it be super. I mean, I know that some people run Chuden, but that's more bulky. He might not need the bulk depending on the type of PvE content. But Bloodlord's Embrace, you guys had said 7s, C or D. We'll throw it in C tier for now. Next up, we have the Dovra Sabatons, which also has a holy lord of text that goes with it. If you just want to see what I'm talking about, you can see what you do. While sprinting, you gain some armor, up to 20 stacks of that armor, and then when you stop, you deal some physical damage, and then you gain a damage shield equal to the damage dealt and retain dragon scales. Then you can't do that again for 10 seconds. And this damage also will stun for 3 seconds. So it does a lot. Now, I used to hate this. Are you on Xbox, Matthew? I used to notoriously hate this set. But somebody sent me some information about this set and how they were using it, and they were like, I can get pretty good DPS output with this set, and it can, be, better than I had. I think I had it in a D tier. I don't think that moves it up higher than D tier very far. I would put this in like the C tier, and the reason is that you're using it still is only. I know it is a novel. It still isn't doing a whole lot, and the damage shield is still going to be nerfed by Battle Spirit anyway. The stun, I guess you could look at. It's just so finicky, right? Because because here's the other thing too. You're only getting a bonus for a little bit, and then imagine yourself using this set, right? You're sprinting at your enemy, you're stunning them, you're getting a damage shield, right? And then some armor. Well, as soon as the second guy comes in, he's not going to be stunned. Your damage shield will probably be gone, and your damage shield is not going to be very good anyway. And then you might have a little bit of armor. So essentially, you're using a 2-piece slot to get this effect, because you can't use a full monster set. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I was notoriously very harsh on this. I think F tier. I put it in D tier last time and people rioted in the streets. That's why I moved it up to the C tier. But do you guys think it should be lower? What do you guys think? What do we think? Holy text. Let's pull the text back up. That way everybody that's never seen it before can read it. What do you guys think about the holy text that is this gigantic boy? Also closing some extra windows right now, so hopefully it doesn't, just in case there's any lag. We have some Fs. I mean, I don't think it's horrible for Cyrodiil. It's just hard to tier something like this. But I think what we'll do is we'll throw it in the D tier when we have the same riots again. Farming. Interesting idea. The thing is, if you're farming, you're going to use the other set, the Wild Hunt set. And I mean, yes, stunning things is nice, but also, I mean, would you rather go 45% faster, or would you rather stun things? I think you would pick the speed. And that's the thing across the board, too. And it is a wall of text. Whenever I do my Golden Vendor review, sometimes I feel like I just have a wall of text to go through. This next one is also controversial, because it is Crypt Cannon. Now, for those of you who don't know, there's no wall of text here. So that's good, right? That's nice off the bat. Well, you can no longer cast your ultimate abilities. You might be thinking to yourself, whoa. Going on here, but instead casting an ultimate ability transfers your ultimate resource to your living group members, so no dead ones this time, and it is divided equally among them. You also gain permanent minor heroism, so this is used for ball groups, which Gan was like on the ball with, and that's kind of where it still sits today, because basically then somebody could Dawnbreak you multiple times, Yeah, you think ball group A tier? Is it a staple of ball groups? So staple of ball groups is would you say 90+% you're going to see a Crypt Cannon runner? You think that Crypt Cannon is in every ball group, bar like a few gobbledygook hooligans that don't use it? Do you guys think it's a staple? I think it's very popular. And if you've ever wondered how you've been ulted multiple times, this is how. Small scale bombing. I mean, yeah, there's other, it's not just ball groups too. being able to transfer your ultimate is helpful in, multiple, especially PvP situations, because ultimates can be really good, especially on certain classes. Ironically, I actually just bought a 360 the other day just because it was so cheap. I saw it on auction, and I was like, I'll buy a 360. And I feel like it's like, heritage at that point. And I think these are, forget the pants. The pants always confuse me. They look so similar. Is this the Esoteric Greaves pants? Let me just Google this real quick. Hang on. Because I forget which pants that looks like. Which ones are these? That does not look like it. Oh, it is that one. All right. That is the Esoteric Environmental Greaves. All right. Perfect. My cat, unfortunately, is now sleeping, which is good because she kept trying to jump up here the whole time period. And I'm like, whoa, simmer down there, Seabiscuit. All right. So these, I should probably tell you what they do, huh? While you are above 50% stamina, reduce your direct damage taken by 50%, and you lose 968 stamina whenever you take direct damage up to every 0.3 seconds. So basically, you reduce your damage taken when you're above 50% stamina by 50%. That's quite a bit. But every time you lose stamina, every time you then take damage, you lose 968 stamina. So basically, if you got hit 10 times, you would lose like 9,680 stamina in very short succession. I got an interesting question. Let's say you got the chance to design a Mythic. What unique buff and debuff would you create, and what body piece? I actually have a crazy idea for a Mythic. It's a Mythic, but the only thing that it does is it allows you to wield another Mythic. So essentially, the Mythic would let you wear 2 other Mythics, because obviously there's like a restriction that you can only have 1 Mythic. I would have a Mythic whose sole purpose is to let you wear essentially what would be 3 Mythics at that point, because it would be one itself. But that would be what I would use. I feel like that's a really cool like environmental design idea, The other idea I had for a Mythic, but this would probably be too busted, is that so let's say you had an incomplete set. Well, that Mythic would then complete the 5-piece bonus. Let's say you had like 3 out of 5 pieces on because you were using like an arena weapon. The Mythic would then complete the rest of the 5-piece bonus, which I thought something like that would be really cool too. But what do we think about the Esoteric Greaves? I don't even know where I put this last year. It's just such a weird Mythic because it's like 50% damage reduction is a lot, but also losing all your stamina is not great. What I feel like this set needs more testing with is like builds that are constantly heavy attacking and restoring resources, and potentially to even ones that don't have. There's probably some funny way that you could wield this. If you had to choose someone to tank for you between a Warden Ice Staff or a Templar Sword and Board, or do Sword and Board, which would you want of your side? Because I keep flip-flopping. So generally you end up using both. Like when you're a tank, you generally run an Ice Staff and a Sword and Board, just because you can use them both. So then if you get the Destro Staff ability, like the little passive, it'll take, when you block with an Ice Staff, it'll use your Magicka, so people usually just use both. If I had to pick between a Templar and a Warden, I don't know. I mean, I guess it just depends on like what you're doing. It just depends, I guess. Whatever. Here's the other thing too, is I could tell you right now, like, I would pick a Warden, and then whenever the next update comes out, I'm like, oh, now it would be a Templar. The go-to is like, well, for example, I played Sorcerer, right? sorcerers have notoriously not been great, right? But then, when they got certain mythics and certain sets, they became S tier, right? So I was playing the sorcerer all through when it was a C tier or B tier or even a D tier class. Now it's an S plus tier, you know? And I was still able to competently play that class the whole time period, and then now it just skyrocketed, and I guarantee you, it's gonna get nerfed. So sometimes you just have to kind of acknowledge that, like, classes that are good now are not gonna be good for forever. You know, everything's gonna ebb and flow. And, like, if you spend the time to practice on something, you're gonna be good at it, even if it's a necromancer, you know? And that, for PvP, necromancers are notoriously kind of shit on, but that's what I would warn you with, is like, don't spend too much time thinking about like what's good right now, because the future always exists, you know? And I would say there's not a huge difference between the two of them if you have a personal preference. But the Esoteric Greaves, let's just throw in the C tier for now. Nobody has strong opinions on. The next one also has a wall of text. It's a bit convoluted, but if you continuously sprint for 1 second, you get the ability to pass through enemies. Enemies you pass through become charmed for 4 seconds, removing their ability to attack or cast abilities as they move towards you. Charming an enemy this way restores 678 stamina and magicka and heals you for 692 health. So... anyone have any strong... I feel like this, unironically, I think, would be the second best mythic to farm with. Because enemies you pass through become charmed. As long as you, like, sprint through the enemies as you're picking up items, you know, off the ground. I think that's probably its best utilization. But I'm curious, like, what do you guys think is the best way to use this mythic? I'm not worried about what's good. They all look really cool and fun in their own way. That's true too. If you like being more like, I call it like the Aedra type class, you know, Templars kind of remind me of like the Aedra for the Knights of the Nine DLC infused with like holy magic. Or if you prefer like nature's magic, then there you go. Yeah, I would say this is a really like a thieving mythic. So I would say, what do you think, a 9? It's not as good as Ring of the Wild Hunt. It's, you know, if you were making this as like a thieving, overland farming build, it's pretty good. This next one is Mora's Whisper. Now, Mora's Whisper, I think, is definitely the most unique one on here. That's a hot take. Yes, that's the Casanova mythic. But so Mora's Whisper, gain up to 1528 crit chance and a 10% increase to inspiration, alliance rank, alliance kill, and 15% monster kill experience based on how many of Shalador's books you have collected. So this is like one of the most unique mythics in the game for that reason, because on one hand, you just say this is 10 out of 10 set because it's one of the only ways to increase your XP gained. But on the other hand, it's like, well, I also have to have a bunch of Shalador's books collected, which you probably aren't doing that for your ult, so you can't slap this on, you know, even if you, obviously it's a mythic, but like a level 10 character. And Jake, what's a good base game set for a Nightblade running a bow? Base game Nightblade set. PvP or PvE? And then, so what do you guys think? I mean, I lean towards this is like a 10 out of 10 set if you could do it correctly. Like, if you meet the requirements, I mean, it's one of the only ways that you can get 15% in monster kill experience. That's a lot. You can also use it to increase your alliance rank, alliance skill, crafting, which, to be fair, those other things aren't as important because, in my opinion, I mean, yes, 1528 crit chance is decent enough to where you could run it in PvP, but you're probably not going to do so. PvE Nightblade. That's PvE Nightblade. PvE Nightblade. Do you have access to any of the DLCs? Because I think, isn't Hrothgar free, if I'm not mistaken now? Is Hrothgar free? Because that would give you access to Maelstrom arenas. trying to think in my head, like, what's free content now versus what's not free content. And I'm pretty sure that Hrothgar is now free, but I can't remember if it's free or they just gave it away. But could anybody know if it's free or not? And then also too, does everybody agree that putting Mora's Whisper as a 10 out of 10 staple is a good go? Like, what do we think about that? Any mixed opinions on that? They gave it away in a month. Okay. Do you have it, Kenneth's Life? Do you have Hrothgar? Because there are some good sets that drop from there. Who's your favorite ESO YouTuber? That's a loaded question. As a friend or for other types of content? Like, let me delineate here. Who's my favorite as like a person, or who's my favorite as like if I wanted to watch something and that's a loaded question. There could be some watching right now, like, yeah, Jake, who's your favorite? S tier except the book farmer. Okay, that's good to know. Harpooner's Waiting Kilt. Do we think that that's a 10? A 9? Harpooner's Waiting Kilt, I would say, is probably a 10 out of 10 set, but I want to have some dialogue. What do we think about Harpooner's Waiting Kilt? And then Kenneth, do you have Hrothgar, or just list out any DLCs that you may own? Because there's been quite a few that have been given away for free. So if you have any, just list them out. If you don't have any, that's fine too. Just throw that in there. My favorite ESO content creator as a friend is probably Paradox ESO, because he helped me make the ESOhelper.com website. So that was obviously very helpful. He's helping me add to it and all that good stuff. So that's obviously, he's coolest guy. I would also shout out Deltia. When I talk to him, he's probably one of the most realist people. When you talk to him, he's a super cool person, very easy to talk to. He's former veteran, super nice guy. So I would say Deltia is probably a close second. I can't put him above the person that helped me make the website. There's a lot of cool ESO YouTubers that I've met, in the real world or online. So I feel guilty not mentioning all of them. Skinny Cheeks, great person, cool person to talk to, in the real world too. I was able to meet even other people like Nephis and, a lot of other creators. So I don't want to throw any of them under the bus by not picking them. To watch is a very interesting question, because when I watch content, I like to watch content that's very different than my own. So it's probably Epic Butt Kicker. He's a PvP YouTuber, because he usually plays classes and does builds on classes that I don't do. So I always like to watch his type of content, because not for, their own, but like I'm not going to watch somebody else's like tier list, because I want to make my own tier list. And I also don't want to like copy content creators' points of views, because I feel like that's cheating. But we will put Harpooners in the S tier, because I do think that's fairly accurate. Who are your guys' favorites outside of me? Because I feel like a lot of you would just feel obligated to say that I am, and I would feel very guilty about if everybody just said that. But what were your favorites outside of the person you're watching, so you all don't have to feel guilty and say me for being here? No wrong opinions, obviously, too. Excuse me. Artea. I think Artea used to, so when you go in the YouTube creator app, you can actually see like a portion. It'll show you like how many of your subscribers are subbed to other people. And Artea for a while was number 1, but now I think she's like number 6. Oh, J Hart Elias. I actually have met J Hart Elias as well. Super cool streamer. I don't know. Yeah, he's a really cool streamer. I think Ambition Plays is the best ESO player, PvE speaking. Shady for PvP, as much as I can't stand him. I don't know if I know any of the lore as for shady. This next one, by the way, while we're thinking on that, is also Spaulder of Ruin. Activating Crouch activates and deactivates a 12-meter Aura of Pride. Up to 6 group members in that aura gain 260 weapon and spell damage. Reduce your magicka, health, and stamina recovery by 70 for every target benefiting from the aura. I liked Cooper Harp, but I think he quit. Oh. Hack the Minotaur didn't quit, did he? Oh, are you saying Cooper Hartley did? He might have. I think he might have, because I sent him a Discord invite link, because him and I used to chit-chat. He didn't answer, so I was like, oh no. Maybe he's taking a break. But what do we think about Spaulder of Ruin? It's another one where it's like, there certainly is some utilization for this one, but is it good? Is it bad? It's so hard to like. These are the ones that I think are the most tricky. Yeah, A tier for healers. I would say, I would give it as high as an A tier. I'm going to be on tonight after the tutorial. I'll be at Solitude Way Shrine inside the city on the Xbox NA server. Can you get me? Yeah, if you can you put it in the Discord chat so I don't forget? We have a Discord. I could link it to all of you guys right meow, because I will 100% forget if I don't do that, because I am a forgetful person. But can you blame me? Probably, because you are allowed to do that. There's a Discord server. Achoo. Spaulder of Ruin. Do you guys think A tier, by the way? Is A tier a fair assessment? So the tier list is for the best type of possible utilization. So S tier would mean that it's a staple of support. Do you think that it's a staple of the support class? And I'm not saying that's wrong. I just, do you think that that's what it is? Mr. Damage. That's why I was leaning towards a 9, because I think 9 is a fair assessment. But there are some people that may argue that this is a staple of support. What do we think? I was also curious to see if there was people stacking with the banner, because you have a reduction in health, magicka, and stamina recovery. But you could stack the ability to stack those things together to avoid that problem. Yeah, we'll throw an S tier for now. I agree with that. Is this the Stormweavers? Is that what these are? Is this? I think these are what those pants are. So this is very easy. It says it does quite a lot, but you can summarize it super easily. Adds 300 magicka. That part's easy. But what it does too is now all of your stamina stuff costs magicka. So, for example, break free, sneak, block, now consume magicka. So it doesn't turn like your stamina abilities into magicka once, but what it does is it turns all of the things that would cost you stamina, so break free, bash, sprint, roll, dodge, block, now cost magicka. And this is a mythic that I probably understand its best utilization the least, because it's like, conceptually, I could see like, this is decent, right? And this is why I actually wanted to do this as a live stream, because it's like, I conceptually see this as good for some things. But like, one, what's the best way to use this mythic? And two, what tier does that then land that mythic on? Do any of you use this mythic out of curiosity? I thought about using this on a sorcerer just because I could get crazy amounts of magicka. So I basically get 300 free magicka recovery, and then I don't need to use stamina really at all. Which could be nice, but thank you for the bits. Still having bad trouble with chat, like Charles Manson bad. Well, I'm so sorry to hear that. Thank you for the bits. Welcome, Cool. I don't know what the problem would be. Twitch isn't showing me that it's having any problems. Let's see. I don't know. Actually, it does say unstable. Woo! I need to close some stuff down, you know, don't need all these windows open. What do we, oh, there's the Twitch form that I had pulled up. Go back to this. What do we think? Stormweavers. This turns everything into magicka. So all your sprinting, your break free, your roll dodging now costs magicka. But it gives you 300 magicka recovery as well. So it frees you up to just use a bunch of stuff to your things. I could see it being nice in PvE with sets like Ethereal Ascension, but I'd grade it D, honestly. I think there's a set that gives you stamina, or no, it gives you magicka when you're sprinting, right? Or no, what does it do? Is that Ethereal Ascension? Is that what I'm trying to think of? Let me Google this, because you might be thinking of what I was thinking of. That's ESI. Oh, this is increase the cost of block, sprint, dodge, and break free by 20%. There's a set. There's a set that, like, every time, I think it's while sprinting, you gain magicka recovery, or you gain magicka. But I also feel like because it reduces your magicka recovery to 0, unless it read gained magicka, not magicka recovery. I feel like it does. What set does that? You joined the Skyrim Rebellion. I'll never see Elder Scrolls again. You jump 2 eras in the future. ESO sprinting gives back magicka. What set is that? Prisoner's Rags. All right, let's see. What is Prisoner's Rags? See here, I do think that this would stack together. For you would have infinite. So hang on. So look at how this reads. Reduce the cost of sprint by 50%. While sprinting, restore 1035 magicka. Right? So in theory, right? This is not magicka recovery. So while sprinting, you should get back your magicka, which also simultaneously should be reduced to 0 while you're sprinting, because this mythic makes you use magicka. But because the way that this is worded, you should get magicka back. Now, as the best possible combination in the game, I don't know where that puts this. Like, what do you use with this? You could essentially have an infinite magicka build. So knowing this, let's just imagine that this combination works, because realistically it would have to be coded correctly. Where would you rate this combination, and what would you use it for? So essentially, you potentially could have infinite sprint, would be what this would be used for. And then you could always sprint to regain your resources back. And it's every second, mind you, too. So the way that this reads, I just want to be clear. So when you have like stam recovery, by the way, that's over 2 seconds. This is over 1 second. So this is the equivalent of having 2,070 magicka recovery while sprinting. That's how much this is giving you in recovery, because recovery is over 2 seconds. And what to make a Dragonite? Should it be magicka or stamina? I think it's up to you. DPS, PvE, PvP, tanking, healing. I'm just kidding. I mean, you could heal as a Dragonite. You might get some looks, but it could be done. Heal people with your flame lashes. What do you think? What do you think, Mr. Damage, too? Because you have strong opinions about PvP. Do you think you could use this as a PvP build? Use it some cattywampus, sprint, recovery, magicka, infinite, build? I think there might be a set, too, that restores magicka when blocking. Is there a set that does that? I want to keep this open, just so I can further justify this point, if it ever comes to it. ESO set. Magicka when blocking. I don't know if there's one that does that. Let's just pretend that there isn't. So where would you rate this with this knowledge in hand? Also, why is did my thing? There it goes. It's back. What do we think? This one's probably the most ridiculous mythic we've had so far. Should we just throw it in B tier because we have nothing in B tier? Like, there's just because there's nothing there. How's it going, Archmage? I just don't know where to put it. I like the idea of it would pair with Ethereal Ascension because it would allow for heavy resistance stamina builds that could get all the armor without HP. Scaling like Pariah. Here's the other thing too, is if you put it with Prigniser's Rags, you're getting max stam recovery, and essentially you could use this on a stamina build because if you just needed more magicka, you just sprint and you'll get your magicka back. I think it's C at best. I don't mind putting it at C tier. We can close this too. I don't know why I still have that open. I just find it funny that none of the sets so far are in the B tier. And B tier I feel like is such a like a non-controversial place to put things, All right, which one is this? Left-hander. Is this left-handers? I think that's left-handers Aegis belt. So this one, also cattywampus, roll dodge no longer evades attacks and instead grants a damage shield that absorbs up to 24,139 damage over 1 second. This damage is unaffected by Battle Spirit, and because Hack didn't leave ESO, what's his name did? Cooper did. Somebody just said them in the same sentence, so I was curious if they meant him. I don't think that the left-hander's Aegis belt is very good. But I'm open to being proven wrong if somebody has some wacky builds. And I think the market, to me, actually, I'd put the Markyn Ring is probably B tier. I lean more towards A tier with Markyn Ring, but B tier is probably fair too. But we'll get there. Does anyone have any strong opinions on left-hander's Aegis belt? Any strong opinions at all across Twitch and YouTube chat? We got how many hooligans? We got 33 on there. We have, how many do we have on YouTube? 40 on the YouTube. Somebody's got to have a super strong opinion about this. Oh, I mean, if people are using it a lot too. Although, I've seen a lot of people use weird mythics. I don't know. I've seen people use the Do-Ra Sabatons. I don't know if that moves it up, but I think maybe I'm just biased because I want to put something in the B tier, Maybe C tier, C+. What we're going to do is we're going to order these things in order too, just to get an idea of how high up it should be, for each thing. Let's leave it there for now. What about Gaze of Sithis? How often can you proc it? You can proc it infinitely. I know some early Arcanists would use it to stack shields, and I've seen silly builds with Marias that would deal damage still from a roll dodge. I actually built a build like that. It's so stupid. I also have one that it's a monster. I think it's I don't even remember what type of set it is. I think it might be the monster set. It leaves a little ruin on the ground. And it blows up afterwards. It's so funny. Hack's not left at ESO. Don't worry. Don't panic. Don't panic, everybody. Hack the Minotaur is also a very cool person too. I didn't know if I said that earlier. Gaze of Sithis. Bit divisive. I love the Gaze of Sithis. I used to use it on my sorcerer because it was just it was 7 well-fitted pieces. My God. I mean, I can see how if you built your way into it, that could be a good build. I think, yeah, that's, maybe even great. What do people think about Gaze of Sithis? Gaze of Sithis is one of the more popular starter mythics. You get 326 or 3,276 health, 1025 health recovery, 4,000 armor, but it reduces your block mitigation to 0. B tier, interesting. I lean towards the B tier as well. I used to have this in the A tier, but I think it's just power creeps kind of pushing it out for me. You know, what I used to consider a great mythic or an excellent mythic, you know, it's just kind of reshuffled around based on how many other mythics there are in the game that are good. So I am inclined to agree with you. Which boots? Are these Snow Treaders? I think these are Snow Treaders. Now, Snow Treaders, I have probably the... Oh, somebody says A. Interesting. I agree with B, but maybe C. We're all over the place again. Although B does split the difference. Same with Pale Order, very situational, but still good. Well, good is not the... So A is excellent. B is great. C is good. So it's staple, excellent, great, good, above average, and just random gobbledygook. So where do you guys think that should go? That's what I kind of think too. It's pushed it down. What's the most consistently decent tank class? I would say probably... What do you guys think? I don't want to give an answer and sway the chat. What do you guys think is the most consistent tanking class? And then I'll put it in the chat what I think. I think... The other thing, too, is a lot of trials need 2 tanks, and oftentimes you're almost guaranteed to have 1 Dragon Knight tank, regardless. So I think Dragon Knights have just been consistently good. I don't know why I said I wasn't going to give an opinion. I started giving an opinion. Yeah, T-Dot says DK. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, there's no real wrong answer, but I would say DK is definitely the most right answer. And so this damage actually brings up the point that I had when I would use Gaze Sithis. Sucks not being able to block a meteor coming for your head. And since the release of sets like Shattered Fate and Breach, Mythic space can feel wasted on armor. That's the other piece too, is that you can't block meteors, and meteors are pretty common in PvP. Like, and getting hit by a meteor is gonna hurt, and there's no way to roll dodge it, like, at all. So that can be a bit finicky if you're having to go through that. The next one is Snow Treader's Boots, though, which basically makes you immune to mobilizations and any sorts of things that could be affected by a player, given to you by a player. Where do you guys put Snow Treader's Boots? I'm also crafting armor right now, so I'm not reading it word for word, so just bear with me. What do you guys think about Snow Treaders? I've seen people use Snow Treaders to ridiculously good effect, but does that necessarily mean it's good? No. You know, that's always the hard part with these videos. Is like, just because somebody has used it to a crazy good degree doesn't mean it's good. Like, we were just talking about the belt. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's good either, per se. Super niche. I know a lot of PvP healers support that, highly recommend it. I actually think, too, it's pretty good for quite a few different classes as well. I've seen sorcerers use Snow Treader's Boots because they already have access to blinking. They have access to Minor Expedition, I think it is, that you get when you use the Mage's form. So you already get a bunch of speed anyway. Being able to be immune from quite a few things is pretty good. But it's always hard to know how that puts it on a tier list. So start throwing out some numbers. I have Oakensoul Ring, but I find I still die. I'm not that impressed with it, really. For PvE content or PvP content? Both. I actually don't like Oakensoul for PvP content, just because I have found that having access to another 6 skills is just so helpful. Yeah, keeps the healer alive. We'll throw it. What do you think? A tier, and then we'll say its #1 utilization is for C or D. Well, let's say you're saying it's very good for supports and stuff. Because you got to think this is at its best utilization. This is at its peak, and then we'll describe when we make the YouTube video if this is what its peak utilization is. People are not going to be surprised, like, oh, I thought people used the Snow Treader's boots to run veteran trials. Like, they're not going to be confused because we'll say, like, the best utilization is support in PvP. The question is how does it compare to other PvP support sets who want to make sure they're not getting crowd controlled? That is the question. I don't know the answer to it. So that's why I'm open to your guys' points of view. Well, I'm always open to your guys' point of view. I shouldn't say it like, I only want to know your point of view because of this one specific thing. It's same with Pale Order. Like, Pale Order to me's best utilization is in arenas, and I think if you compare like what are the go-to arena sets, you would put Pale Order, right up there with the best of them. I'm in a PvP guild and we use Snow Treader's boots almost exclusively. You agree that Pale Order is too high? Interesting. What are you saying, that it's too high for like arena content? You guys don't think that it's an A tier for arena content? You guys think that there's just too many other scribing abilities now that give you access to heals and stuff? Or what's the reasoning for the drop? Oh boy, how's it going, Bosco? And I almost got this stuff crafted. I have 1 heavy, 1 light, 1 medium, and then a lightning staff. The person who needs the training trait. All Heartland Conqueror. Glad I made the stream. Well, thanks for stopping by. Any other strong opinions about the Snow Treader's boots, or anything else that we're covering so far? Do you lose out by using these instead of another mythic? Well, in theory, you lose out because you can't use another one. Pale Order is S for solo arenas. That's actually where I used to have it, but I don't know if I would still put it in S tier, because I do think that you can get that survivability from other ways. Yeah, that is. I was thinking that too, because if you use, but even like some of the new scribing skills, like you can just weave in a heal with it too, and just keep infinite heals going as well. So that's what makes it a bit divisive. But we could we'll do is finish the list. We'll do the easy one first. Pearls of S is S plus tier. Well, don't worry. When we finish the list, we will go through and we will reorder everything. I'm guessing everybody wants to put Oakensoul in the S tier just to get it out of the way. Does anyone have any opinions on why Oakensoul shouldn't be in the S tier? Because if I don't put it in the S tier, everybody in the comment section is going to absolutely kill me. So everyone, because it is a staple set, for solo content, So I know that there is an argument of like, well, Oakensoul can't do everything. I get it. I've tried to get people to not use the Oakensoul Ring and be too reliant on it. Those conversations usually lead to me getting yelled at. Hi Jake, love the Riften video. I laughed so hard. Is there a chance you can make similar funny content? I could try my best. Ironically, a lot of people didn't. I mean, it still has, I think, like 3,000 views right now. I thought it would get a little more views because I thought this is some quality humor, but we'll see how it does algorithmically. But I'm hopeful that it will. We'll do some more like deep dive videos on that too. I think just because of the limitations. You guys really just want me to get canceled, don't you? That's what you want. I get it. I totally get it. Thank you, Matthew. I will get to your stuff here in a minute as well. I gotta find my pen because I gotta write down this gamer tag before I... Actually, Ace, if you're here, can you shoot me a message? I have your stuff crafted. I'm just trying to remember your gamer tag. I found my pen. I'm trying to multitask and send this armor out to people. I also made it a lightning staff. I feel like lightning staves are the more popular one to level with. The reason I would put it in S tier is because if I put it in there, if I don't put it there, I'll get yelled at. To me, that feels like a fair reason. I just watched it today. I'm not always the first view of it. It's not only relevant for a short period of time. That's true. I get what you're meaning. I totally get that. I keep trying to I changed the title on it like 3 times because I don't even know like what to title it. Just because it's like it's so difficult to know. Oakensoul in PvP is pretty Ted. I will agree with you. But when it comes to PvE content, it's all over the place. When I make my video, I'm going to be clear. Like, look, this is not... I don't recommend that you guys just use this for everything. But also, if I didn't put it in S tier, there would be riots in the street. I do make the argument. I also think it builds bad habits. Like, I don't like the Oakensoul Ring. I don't like it. But I recognize that it, you know, has some utilization that a lot of people like. It is really the only cult following Mythic. It really is. And listen, I'm just trying not to get canceled, you know? Like, I don't want to be canceled. Let's move on to the next one, though, and then we'll go through the very end. Which one is that? We have... All right. The next one is Savaar's Bane's Ward. You cannot move while bracing. While bracing, you create a 12-meter zone of protection. Group members within the zone increase the amount of damage they can block by 30% and their health recovery by 950. The health recovery cannot affect yourself. Does anyone have any crazy utilizations for Savaar's Bane? Somebody just commented I'm not pronouncing Arx Corneum correctly. How do you say Arx Corneum? What the heck? I just saw a YouTube video, a comment from my own video. How do you say Arx Corneum? D tier? I agree with you, it's probably D tier. But also, how do you pronounce Arx Corneum? Am I not pronouncing that correctly? Is there like a secret thing that I'm not pronouncing correctly in this that has just befuddled me? Is that not correct? I don't know. Maybe I was saying it wrong. People always like, this is the comment. You've been playing ESO for how long, and you can't pronounce. It's like I don't play with the volume on. I'm weird. I know. I also don't listen to dialogue. Like you think I'm like processing this all? Cordium, cordium, arcs cordium. That could be. That could also be. I think this next one is Thrashin Stranglers. That looks like that's what that one is. It's the only one I know that's on the hands. Is that what that one is? That's not the Steam Guards. That is Thrashin Stranglers. All right. Corinium. Is that? Who cares? Potato, potato. They don't pay me to pronounce things correctly. Thrashin Stranglers are an interesting one because killing an enemy grants you a stack. That stack lasts for 1 hour. I don't remember there being a time limit beforehand. Up to a maximum of 50 stacks. Each stack increases your weapon and spell damage by 23, but reduces your maximum health by 120 and the effectiveness of your shields by 1%. And then it's lost if you go invisible or crouch. So Matthew, I haven't sent you yours yet. I sent somebody else's theirs training gear. So I will send that to you here in a bit. Actually, I don't have your message yet. Do I have a message from you? I also can mail it to you too. I just need you to message me what gear you want. Thrashins went from S to D. Highest potential damage in the game regardless of PvE or PvP. That is true. The question is where do you put that then? Like, what do you use this for? Like XP grinding? You can kill those zombies so effectively, you know? That's what I hate about mythics like this, is like, you kill 50 zombies and then you just go buck wild with this bad boy. But like, where the hell do you put that on a tier list? You know, like, what do you do with this? How does scribing actually work? So scribing, I can show you how it works. We'll bring up an example. What do we think? Thrashin Stranglers? Because, like, I mean, could be great. Yeah, you wear it in Imperial City. We also did in Black Rose Prison score pushing. That's where it's like, it could be great if you're if you are like willing to, you know, use it for certain types of content. That almost makes me think it should be an S tier set just for that reason. Because like, if you follow the logic, right, that we've created, and I'm taking myself to a scribing altar to show you. I'll settle for A. Maybe we could throw it in A tier. We could always debate at the end. This next one is Bielzar's Band. Before we do that, this is how scribing works. We'll show a little bit of a tutorial here. So scribing is very straightforward. So let's just say, for example, these are different scribing abilities that we've learned. You can see that they're based on a bunch of different things, such as this one from the Fighters Guild, Mages Guild. There's Banner Bearer. There's one where you can trample. Some of them, are tied to dual wielding, such as the Traveling Knife. You can see weapon dual wielding. You can see this one's two-handed, so you have to be using a two-handed weapon to use it. Shield throw, got to be using a shield to throw it. So you've got your weapon ones. Those are universal to the weapons they're on. Then you've got some world ones. That's just, soul magics. That's universal. You got your Mages Guild, Fighters Guild, and then you've got some Alliance War type stuff. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. So, when it comes to this, what you do is, we'll just give an example. Let's say I was like, I want to make a shield throw at an enemy, right? Then you could do a bunch of different things, like, do I want it to do I want to add some frost damage to it? Maybe perhaps I would like to deal physical damage, but then immobilize them for a bit of time. Or maybe I want some knockback. Maybe I want some magic damage. Maybe I want to deal physical damage and then make it do multi-target. You could also turn it into a taunt, for example. But then you could do other things. So let's just say we're going to stick with a taunt. We're going to make this deal some damage and taunt the enemy. Then we could deflect the next attack made against you within 3 seconds. On return, we could do something like that, deflect it back at the enemy. We could deal additional damage, or make it deal more damage and bash the enemy. We could deal physical damage over time. We could heal ourselves. That would stack off our max health. We could grant the ability to pass through enemy. I didn't know that was actually one of them. Increase our bash damage. Let's say we were, let's say we're like, I'll make it a heal as well. Then this next one, we give ourselves certain buffs. I don't know why you'd want to give yourself major brutality and sorcery on this type of thing, but you could do that. Or then you could be like, I want to apply major cowardice, reducing their weapon and spell damage. Then, maybe we want to apply, you probably don't want to reduce their crit damage. Major evasion, reduce maybe the drop in crazy AoEs. You could put evasion on there. We could set the enemy off balance. You give yourself major resolve. Like, you could do so much with scribing. Once you understand how it works, it's very easy. All you have to do is essentially just make an ability however you want, I hope that helps clarify it a little bit. So, for example, this is how I sometimes use Magical Soul, but other times I will change it around. Like, I'll be like, if I'm in a lot of conflict, sometimes I will, you can see here, I have 2 different versions of it. I have both of them apply Major Breach, but sometimes I take that off. I also have one that deals magic damage over time, but I also have one that heals me over time, because then as I pop shields on my sorcerer, I have a health over time in addition to the healing that I get back as well. It's very fun and interactive as a very helpful way to do that. But next up, we have a super goofy mythic, Beelzar's Bane, which I gotta pull up because that does a whole bunch of stupid gobbledygook. So it increases the damage of your light attacks by 900. I do think that that's notable. Your light attack damage by 900. That's good. When you deal damage with consecutive melee light attacks, you gain a stack of Beelzar's Temper for 10 seconds, up to a max of 5. At 5, you consume those stacks, and after 1 second, deal 588 or 588.89 physical damage to enemies in a line and stun them. So you send out, I think, a Minotaur that knocks down everybody in front of you. This mythic is just so goofy. I feel like because it adds light attack damage, you can't put it too far down because, I don't know, maybe you can. I don't know. 900 light attack damage feels nice for a light and heavy attack build, but I don't know. Do you still put this in D tier? You have to use melee light attacks to get its bonus, and then its bonus is not the greatest thing in the world. I mean, it does a knockdown and some physical damage. What do you guys think about this? Hardcore says, "Hi Jake, you're awesome, amazing, fearless, flawless, and badass. Well, thank you very much for the great content. Please keep up the great work." Well, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you. It sounds like Scribing has the potential to be pretty good. Scribing is very good. Like Damage said, it fills in a lot of gaps, a lot of gaps when it comes to content. You can get pretty much everything that you would need. But where do we put Beelzar's Bane? Do we just all want to throw it in the D tier, just kind of move on with our lives and just pretend that, it's above average, when it comes to sets? I mean, 900 light attack damage, good, but then having to use light attacks, melee light attacks to gain the stacks, and then you're only doing a little bit of damage, and then really you're just getting a knockdown. All right, Markyn Ring is the next one. Could you imagine this with Blood Moon set on an Overland Sork with weapons except CP and Crystal Weapon? I mean, yeah, if it was just a little bit different, it could be decent, but It's unfortunately not. Like, it was close. So, Markyn Ring. Gain 100 weapon and spell damage and 1157 armor for every 3-piece set you're wearing. This is a very popular PvP mythic. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's excellent. I would say it is probably in the B tier. Probably in that 8 to 8.9 range. Where you put it in there is probably a little bit flavorful. Depending on you know. This next one, though, is also probably highly divisive because it is... And we got Sea Serpent's Chain. So what do you guys think? Before we move on, I want to go past it too quickly. Markyn Ring. B or A, or S, or C, or D, or below 5.9. What do you think? I'll just sit back, give you guys a moment to process your thoughts on what you think. No rush. Take your time. I actually use the Markyn Ring quite a bit. A+. Okay, A+. You are getting an unnamed buff. It is still very popular. So, when you use... So, A tier is fantastic. Would you say that Markyn Ring is fantastic? Or would you just say that it's a great mythic? Like, oftentimes I think we get caught up in A and B and C, but like, what words would you use? Would you use great or excellent or good? I wear it on 2 builds, and I'm the last person to ask. I have no idea what things do. I just copy builds. That's an honest man's answer. Markyn is the B tier. I would say Markyn Ring is excellent mythic for PvP. I think B is probably fair for the Markyn Ring. Even though I do love it, it's probably a high B tier. And we'll reorder them in the tier list when we get, to the end. And we'll change things around. The next one is Sea Serpent's Coil, which I could also see as being potentially divisive. So, Sea Serpent's Coil, while at full health, you gain a 40% damage reduction after taking damage. While at full health in combat, you gain Serpent's Rebuke for 10 seconds, which snares yourself by 40%, and you gain Major Berserk and Major Courage, increasing your damage done by 10% and your weapon and spell by 430. The damage resistance does not apply while Serpent's Rebuke is active. S. We had 2 S tiers off the bat. I actually thought that it had kind of fallen out of popularity. It was more of like an A tier mythic. I love this mythic. I used to use it all the time. I think that Saint and Seducer has made a lot of people put it on the shelves. But yeah, no, I agree. I think it is probably an S tier mythic. I was expecting a lot more A's. I'll be honest. I was expecting a bit more A's in the chat than that. And there's Chad. Give us the A. Yeah, for PvE, it's, a bit cattywampus. Then we have Velroth's Ur. And don't worry, we'll go back through. I also have to add the new mythics too, because I realized about halfway through this video that they're not on here. So, Velroth Urs. Increase your penetration by 1650, and also increase your damage done by to a monster by 15%. You gain minor force at all times, increasing your crit damage done by 10%, and it reduces your light and heavy attack damage done by 99%. I have been seeing a ton of mechanical accruity recently, which is kind of crazy. Don't worry. I will add... I realized about halfway through, I thought these were all the mythics, because I thought this one at the end was the Saint and Seducer mythic, so I was like, oh, all the new ones are on this list. This is actually not the Saint and Seducer mythic. This is Velroth Ur's mythic. So we'll go through the new ones. Don't worry. We're still going to talk about the new mythics as well. I just don't have pictures for them. So we'll still talk about them, I pinky promise. It's so weird because it is very Arcanist focused, isn't it? What do you guys think, Velroth Urs? Increase your damage done to monsters by 15%, gain minor force at all times, and you get some nice penetration. But it reduces your light and heavy attack damage by 99%. I would say probably the A tier just because it feels so specific. And I don't know. I feel like I know that shouldn't hurt it necessarily, but it just feels like not an S staple. S tier, I love this guy. Well, because you love me, if I'm the guy, I'll put it in S tier for you. Unless you meant you love that mythic. Oh, Charles just changed his mind. That's all right. We'll leave it in S tier. All right. Before we talk about the new mythics, just start throwing out opinions. What should be different? And also, we could try to organize these from left to right, but I now realize as we think about that, we're going to be comparing, like, Ring of the Wild Hunt is the best, like, farming mythic. So it's like, how do you compare that to the best Sork mythic versus the best level up XP mythic versus the best trial mythic? I don't necessarily know how you do that. I mean, there are, I guess there are people that use it on other classes too. It just feels super specific. So what on here feels wrong? And if you need me to point out what mythics are what, I can do that as well. Like, I can tell you, like, oh, this is that one. So I have not done the new ones yet. This is just the old ones. So before we move to the new ones, because I don't have them, read the S list. You're gonna make me point all these out. So the first one I think is the speedy up one. That's Ring of the Wild Hunt. Ring of the Wild Hunt, S tier. And we have Death Dealer's Feet. Then we have Mora's Whisper, Harpooner's Waiting, Kilt, Spaulder of Ruin, Oakensoul, Sea Serpent, and then Velroth Urs. Bloodlords is wrong. Dead on Arrival, F tier. Where's Bloodlords Embrace? That's this one, right? Just throw that down there. It always looks good when you have something at the bottom of a tier list too. Let's focus on Bloodlords since somebody brought it up. Do we think Bloodlords should be this low? Do people use it though? Like, is it like an actual good set? Is it above average? Is it great? Oakensoul is A tier. We can't move the Oakensoul Ring. They will mass dislike the video. You don't understand. We should just have a tier called Oakensoul Ring. That way they can't come for me. Well, I mean, Ring of the Wild Hunt is weird because its best utilization is like overland farming. So like going and picking up freaking flowers all day. It's like you can't beat that. You know, it's like it's a staple. You know, of flower picking. You know. But focus on Bloodlord's Embrace for now. So Bloodlord's Embrace, because everybody's talking about it. Where do we think? Torque of Tonal Consistency is an C tier, right? It's right here, isn't it? Focus on Bloodlords, though. Is that where that should be? Because I need to go grab some water. My throat's getting really sore. Think on that, and I'll be right back. So what do we think? Bloodlords? So gunmetal. Would you say that it's just like above average, where you're like, it's not a slap in the face, but it's not good, it's not great. You're like, yeah, it's above average. That's about what the D tier would be. Or if you're like, it's average or worse, is that what you would say? Like, where would you put it on there? How's it going, Megan? What do we think about Bloodlord's Embrace? And then what are the new ones that we are missing? Wouldn't be worth the time to get a single lead. Let's say you randomly, somebody's like, I got this mythic, right? He's like, it just happened upon me. I found it in the wild. Would it be above average if I just slapped that bad boy on? Because I agree, it's not worth getting. But let's just pretend that you had it. Would you say that it's D tier? Between D and F, you know? If you said, if you put it on, it would be not as bad as a slap in the face. Yeah, would you throw it in Mordor? Well, Chad uses it on 4 tank builds. We're never gonna get anywhere, I swear. I was just waiting for I think it's the best mythic in the game. That's what I'm waiting for next. It's alright, because if anything bad happens, if anybody's mean to me in the YouTube comments, I'm just going to point them to this live stream and blame collectively all of you. I'll be like, Twitch and YouTube chat, put it here. You know, like, what do you want me to do? Xenod loves it. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, though. I'm just kidding. Like, it's technically better than a blue non-set item. See, see, there you go. All right, but let's talk about some of the new ones. So we have Steam Guards. While bracing, you gain Steam Guardian for half a second, reducing your damage taken by 90%. This effect only activates the start of bracing and can occur once every 10 seconds. Blocking any attack with Steam Guardians is active, reduces its cooldown by 5 seconds, up to once per application. What do you guys think about Steam Guards? This is Evie, by the way. She came back. What are you doing? She's like, why are you holding me like this? Whoop. I don't know where you want to go. She's like trying to climb up me now. There you go. Do you just want to sit? You want to say hi to the stream? No? Oh, hi on the stream. Do you guys like Steam Guards? I know technically I might as well just pull it up here. Do you guys like Steam Guards? I'm also gonna go grab pictures of these real quick so I can put them on the thing. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's a slap in the face? Really good if you have good reaction time, but you may use shield throw, parry scribing ability. Interesting. Does not make it easy to put on a tier list then. So where would you guys put this on a tier list? Because that is the question. Where does this go on a dear tier list? No pressure. But the first person who gives a number, that's the number I'm going with. I'm also working on a music playlist that we can listen to on stream that won't keep getting me copyright notices. Because that's become really annoying. Like, you know, I pull up like a Skyrim playlist and then Spotify will somehow give me a song that is not usable somehow. And I'm like, how does that happen? I'm like, how do you do that? How do you manage that? And I think I have all of the new mythics now. And my cat has become active again. She's like, you went down to get water. That must mean it's time to get up and play. Yep. Why don't you say something to the stream? You say hi to your peoples. They all love you. They all love you. See? She's like, I don't feel the love. Apparently, cats can't see TV screens very well because of the colors that we use don't translate very well for them. S in the hands of a good player, B on the average. Oh, dear God. I can already feel the YouTube comments coming for me. Ring of the Wild Hunt is really the only mythic I use. That's a man of culture. Oh, little black cat. Oh, she went away. Look, Evie, will come back. I bought her a lot of toys. Unfortunately, the toy that I used to keep her distracted with died. It's like puts a little laser pointer and like spritz it around the room. This next one is Torque of the Alien King. A very divisive mythic because if you're me, you never got it because the leads just don't come to you. You use your luck to get a lot of leads, like the Death Dealer's Feet lead. A lot of people want it but can't get it. I got it like the first try, and because of that, I never get the Torque of the Alien King. So I also realized that I am missing one. I'm missing this freaking Shadow Queen's Cowl. Hang on, I'll re-grab that one. Start discussing the Torque of the Alien King. Let me read it to you though while I'm discussing this with you. Reduce your damage taken by 15%, adds 1,337 weapon and spell damage, adds 500 magicka and stamina recovery, but it disables all other set bonuses. This is the second cult followed mythic, so be very careful about where you tier it. Because they'll cancel you. They'll find your employer, they'll message them, they go crazy. They'll do it. That's where it's hard for because I really want this mythic, you know, like I desperately want this mythic, but the game is just like no. It's like you wanted it too much, now you don't get it. It's like the freaking Philosopher's Stone. That's where Oakensoul for PvPers. That's probably pretty accurate. Yeah, this is a set. It is a set it and forget about it type option. I actually really like this mythic and what it does. It's a free PvP loadout. Like that's what it is, you know. Let me add this file here. Hang on. Let me switch this back and add this in. You can see the fact that I don't have this mythic. Why did that not add that in? Upload. Hello? Shadow Queen's Cowl just does not want to add. There we go. I don't know why that was so painful. A or S. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. Should we just put it in S tier and just be done with it, and then just let the angry comments just fly in? That is true. It does make tournaments easy. Both of you have to wear this. Boom. I feel like, so what about Satan Seducer? Because I feel like Satan Seducer is also an S tier mythic, and so is Shadow Queen's Cowl. Let's just, well, we'll leave this one down here. Shadow, I think that this is probably one of the most popular mythics in the game right now. Am I wrong? Like, Satan Seducer is probably one of the most popular mythics to exist in the game right now. And what it does, for those not aware, while in combat, gain 1 of 5 random major buffs, which changes every 10 seconds, and enemies within 12 meters of you gain 1 of 5 random minor debuffs, depending on which buff you have. Yeah, it's the meta, realistically. I think it might get nerfed. I don't know, how do you nerf it, though? Put really bad ones in there, too? Like, you get major happiness, and it gives you, like, plus 5% happiness to your character. And then, you know, I don't know how you nerf it. Because, like, you can't make, even if you made it last less long, and you're just cycling through different major and minor buffs. Shadow Queen's Cowl, I can't put it back out, I think is also probably S tier. Just because it does something so unique. So, for those who don't know, while crouched, you can see witnesses and guards through the walls, and then successfully pickpocketing a witness or guard applies distracted to them for 10 seconds, stunning them and decreasing their stealth detection radius by 30 meters. Or, yeah, just more common buffs, too. So, do you think Shadow Queen's Cowl is fair to... I mean, it's like Ring of the Wild Hunt, where it's like, it just does something so unique that it's like, how do you, you know, it's basically its own unique thing. That's meta. You know, if you wanted to make a thieving build, you probably would just slap that on. Although maybe you would say Ring of the Wild Hunt is... Oh, controversy. If you were making a thieving build, would you rather be able to see people through walls and successfully distract them for 10 seconds, stunning them, decreasing their stealth detection by 30 meters? The Shadow Queen's Cowl, I don't think it's the exact same one we see in Oblivion. I don't think so. It is fun. It is fun to use. I just feel like our S tier is so bloated, you know? Like, do you guys feel like this is a fair tier list? But I guess, like, mythics are generally, like, really good, you know? Even, like, our 9s, like Crypt Cannon, for example, like, Crypt Cannon is literally, like, a staple in ball groups, and Reese only put that in 9. We have freaking Pale Order Ring in 9, and that's, like, the most popular arena build. I think is it implied, though, that the Shadow Queen's Cowl becomes the Grey Fox's mask? That's what I don't know if it does. I'm not an expert in that. It appeals to role players. That's true. What we could do to get some, that's where we should go sit my character in right now. We could have a little ambiance from Rift and Zone chat and see how long it takes for the video to become demonetized. You can put Spaulder in A. Do you guys think Spaulder is fair to put in A? Somebody said +1. Which +1 are you +1ing there, Arch? Ooh, and this one goes in A. Okay, so we're thinking this goes in A. What was the other one you guys said? Belroth's in A. Okay, alright. Oh my gosh, there's so many people in Riften right now. I don't know if I can risk the chat on this. What are they even talking about right now? I'm going to mute it for you guys just so I can hear what they're saying before I risk this idea. Looks like somebody's trying to get an e-girlfriend in Rift and Zone chat right now. Thank you, Enderpedia, for the follow. Sorry if I mispronounced that. By the way, if you're not following or subscribed, please follow or subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube, obviously. Follow on the Twitch. We're very close to 25,000 subscribers. I think we're at like 24,990. We're 5 subscribers away. Granted, if you're here, you probably already are subscribed and or following, but if you wouldn't mind, that would be fantastic. If you're not. Voice chat. Oh, it says my voice chat is unavailable right now, which means I need to reload the game. What do you guys think? Any other changes, major changes to the tier list? Any other big things that you're like, And I put Velothi in there too? Well, Evie, what you doing? What? She's like, don't pick me up. You can look at me, but don't pick me up. Alright, let's see. What are the good people of Riften talking about right now? There's no music. Here's what they're talking about.
No, I actually haven't done the trifecta for that.
Okay, are you retarded?
Oh, that's
This chick has
Are
fake
you
tits,
looking at
holy
me
shit.
or who you looking at right now?
Hey, I don't discriminate.
This is the Riften Zone chat for you guys.
Boxy,
You guys ever
I
want to
didn't
see
even
it
realize
live?
when I added her on
the
Snapchat.
Silver Rose. Wait, how's
I
the
was
that?
fuck
trying
down,
to
you're
talk her up,
dog
didn't
shit.
even see anything.
Oh,
You
it's
got a
Jake
pretty
Clip.
face. Little
Yo,
did I
Jake,
know.
let's duel.
Oh god. Been called out immediately.
This man wants to be
And
cool
fake
so
tits.
bad, bro. That man wants to be cool.
The fuck are you talking
Yo.
about,
Yo,
Goblin?
Juan?
I beat your dumbass on your
Okita?
tank.
You guys
Yeah,
think
he
they
wants
watch
to
the
Actually, like
documentary?
girls'
bad,
IPs.
bro.
He's a sociopath.
Yo,
bro.
Jake,
I've known
let's
that guy
go.
Like 7 years.
Accept the door
He's
request.
legitimately like a sociopath.
Another streamer eliminated.
Like, yeah, you can talk shit about me, be like, ooh, what's up, you drink a lot, and like fucking.
So, Boxy,
freak
where's the
out
title, man?
sometimes. But like,
It's
bro,
on
that
site
man is
apparently
like
here.
recording and reporting.
We'll mute that, finish the tier list here. It's not for the entire zone. What it is it's for like it's like proximity chat. Set it next to somebody called Gothic Mommy. Oh, yeah, it's probably a good idea that most consoles don't have zone chat. Yeah, it's wild here. I'm gonna step out of zone chat or there, so I don't have to keep hearing that. God bless him. Oh, I accidentally rejoined it. I don't know. Apparently, ESO doesn't have that for their stuff, but I don't know exactly how it works. So, how do people feel about this tier list? Is there anything that somebody's like, I don't agree with that? Any big controversial opinions? My goodness, my cat's trying to knock over my pen. I'm gonna get picked up and shown to all the stream people again for being a goober. Yep. Yeah. She's like doing her chirps of like, what did I do? Thrashins is weird, but it's also one of the mythics that you can use to get some of the highest scores in the game with. So that feels like, to me, it still feels like it has to be an S, because if you want to get like the highest scores in the game, you have to use it, you know? Is that like a hot take? any other hot takes that you think are on here? We're also at our 2-hour mark, so I'm going to be... I don't like the style of the S-tier arm guard, so I probably go down 2 places. That's a fair point, you know? Like, if you had to... Here's a hot question. If you had to wear any of these in the real world, they gave you no bonuses, what one would you want to wear if you had to be forced to wear one? Would you rather wear some goofy-looking necklace, some goofy-looking ring, one of these shirts or boots or hands? If you had to put one of these on and wear it for the whole, let's say a whole week, what one would you rather have on? A ring feels like an easy answer, but I feel like if you're wearing a ring as a guy, that might be like, why are you wearing a ring? And then if you wear the Shadow Queen's cowl, they'd be like, what in the hell are you doing? So I think the easy answer is a necklace. So Saint Seducer, you know, might be a decent one to wear. Feels like that'd be kind of cool. Pearls might be one to wear too. If people see, you might be able to hide a little easier. But I feel like if you can't, people be like, what in the world is that? Although the belt probably is another easy answer as well too. You could like wear the belt. Sithis? You wear the Sithis helmet just in public. People are like, what in the world is going on? You probably would not be stopped in public. There's quite a few panhandlers that stop people when I go grocery shopping and when I walk to the store. And man, I think they would leave me alone if I wore the Gaze Sithis. Green mask with feathers would go with everything I have. There you go. Or maybe the Moras. I think the Moras things also like move. Like having like moving tentacles on your arm. That might also get people to leave you alone. Probably also goes with a lot of styles. Pearl booty beads. Yeah, there you go. Honestly, Crypt Cannon, like if you had to fit check one of them, the Crypt Cannon actually does, like if I had to wear one of these shirts, I mean granted when when this is the other option, like this is pretty dope. Even these pants look pretty good. Like they're not my style, you know, blue and yellow, but like I respect it. Now Bloodlords, you know, that's a little too much going on, but Crypt Cannon, like that's a fit. Now, Harpooner's wading kilt, no, it's not for me. Not the Git mask. Yeah, the Shadow Queen's mask, you'd have to probably offer to pay people quite a bit to wear. It looks like you're into something really unique, and people in public might accost you awkwardly. The Markyn Ring actually probably looks like the best ring. It's not like obnoxious. Now imagine if you got the bonus of this in the real world. Ring of the Wild Hunt, easy choice. You'd be fast as fuck going everywhere. Just, you know, be like Usain Bolt. This one also just looks like it's got too much going on here. That's true. The Saint and Seducer neck piece would be a conversation starter. And it's also not ugly either, you know? Whereas, like, the Alien King, you're like, what's going on here? This is too much for me. Or if you're just wearing a single shoulder pad, you might be like, what the hell is going on? No bus fares ever again. Actually, I also feel like the, I'm drawing a blank on its name. The one that gives you, when you're hit, you get extra damage. Sea Serpent's Chain. Be a decent looking one, too. What do you guys think is the ugliest one on here? What's the ugliest mythic? If you had to wear it on yourself. I feel like the belts are an easy pass. You know, you just slap on a belt, you're good. Even these boots don't look too terrible. Well, maybe a bit medieval. You'll be like, what the hell are you doing? The masks, I think, are definitely the ones that would get the most attention. But also the kilt. The kilt will probably The Shadow Queens is definitely the one that's going to get you the most amount of eyes, but a close second might be the Kilt. The maybe Gaze of Sithis, I don't know, but like Gaze of Sithis, at least your face is fully covered, so like people can't be like, what in the Sam hell is going on over there? You know, like they can't be like, what is all that? Gaze of Sithis daily wear for sure. I think if I had to, the one I would want to wear the least is Shadow Queens, because at least with the Gaze Sithis, your face is covered, right? So at least there's that level of amenity to it, you know? Well, we're gonna start winding down here as we get ready for. I gotta get ready for the rest of the day and figure out why the charge on this died so quickly. Anyone have any final questions or things that they need help with, or any other questions, comments, concerns? I'll make sure I get all that training gear to the rest of you guys, and some of you other guys have questions as well. Anything else before I... Oh, that's the wrong one. Anything else? Get finished on those training gear pieces. I do... Yeah, the pearls probably are S tier. I'll put them in S tier just so there's no riots. And that way, if everybody says, why are they in S tier? I'll go, well, Prismatics GG put them in S tier. So, like, go get them. Not me. I didn't do it. It's always so subjective anyway, too, obviously. You know, it's like... Oh, what did I just do? How did I... What? I don't know why I teleported. How do you unlock the Scribing spells add-on? So there's, if you have to have Gold Road, I walked out of it. I'm like, how did I leave that house? It's not the one I wanted to go to. I know where this one stuff is. And then the starter quest, I think, is in Skingrad. Where's the starter quest to Scribing? Does anybody know off the top of their head? I think, let me Google this for us. Oh, I missed your thing, Megan. Jake, have a Sator thing. Sorry, they're releasing new names. If you haven't logged in and since January 2024, you might want to log in. This is tomorrow. Oh gosh. Oh, I think I got an email about that where it's like, hey, we're taking your name away from you or something. I think you have to like talk to an NPC in Skingrad. My cat jumped back up on me. It's driving me crazy. Let me see if this has any pictures. Oh my gosh. They're doing this thing where they like tell you all this information that you don't want to know. Like, did you know that when I wrote this article, I was 7 years old? All right. They do a good job, though, of explaining it. It's right here. Enter Skingrad, look for the Mages Guild building. Near to the guild's building's entrance. It's right here. And you can see it on the map. When will I start what, Alex? Oh, yeah, this is right where you start describing stuff. I feel like I have such a cool character name, too, for Sator. My guy's name is Jet. It's just G-E-T. What a cool name for a Jedi. I know, I hear you thinking to yourself. It's kind of a big deal, I know. But that's where that is. Does anyone have any final questions? Anything else? I'm going to get wrapping up here. When will I start rating items? Oh, we were, this is our tier list. It's over here. We finished our tier list. Everyone agreed 100% on everything. It was actually incredible. I said to myself, wow, everyone agreed. No discussion the whole time. This is universally approved. It should be 100% like ratio when it comes out on YouTube. Like, we should be golden. Can you imagine? Some of my YouTube videos actually do have 100% like ratio, which is actually wild. Because I have accidentally disliked videos before, and I have to like go back, especially YouTube Shorts. I accidentally dislike YouTube Shorts all the time. But yeah, this is the list. This is the Mythic list. If you guys have ideas, though, so I'm not gonna make the video for Mythics until Wednesday. So anybody who's listening to my voice right now, either whether they're a past viewer or a concurrent one, if you wake up tomorrow and you think to yourself, maybe Saint Seducer should be an A tier item for whatever reason. I'm not saying that that's accurate because it isn't. Saint Seducer is ridiculously OP. But just put it in the comments below because I'm going to be taking in feedback from the YouTube comments as well. Is it a quest line or do you just unlock and have to find by the rest of the ability? So it's not. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to explain it. I think this article actually explains it very well. You just have to get through all their ads. But what it basically is like all Pal World flying mounts and their speed. That's crazy. So you start the quest, you do some questing, and then you unlock different wings, and then the different wings give you access to different ability, like different ones. The easiest way to think of it is like you go do. There's 6 quests basically in total. You just do these 6 quests. And then as you do different ones, you unlock the ability to get ink from different locations. You also have the ability to start buying scripts. The scripts are on a weekly rotational basis. The grimoires are not. So I'll show you where the grimoires are. So the grimoires you just buy. The grimoires, you're probably like, what in the world is a grimoire, Jake? It's the ability itself. So like, you know how we were talking about like the shield throw? Well, you could just buy the shield throw. But then the actual ways to edit it, like how we were looking at the different damage with, those are the things that you can get changed around. And those are the ones that you find / purchase / get from zone quests, daily quests, not zone quests, and other types of shenanigans like archival fortunes and whatnot. So this is the not the archival fortunes vendor. This is the Scholarium vendor. So he, as you can see, you talk to him, you have to have, I think, 3 of the quest sons or 2. You can see you could buy like the Banner Bearer, you can buy the Elemental Explosion, you can buy Menders, Shield Throw, Smash, Soul Burst, yada 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 yada. All of that is there all the time. It's the scripts, these are the things that rotate. So you can't just always buy these ones. These rotate every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, you can buy scripts from the Archival Fortunes vendor, and I think does the Telvar vendor also have them? Generally, you're not buying them with Archival Fortunes, though. You're only buying them here with gold, or you're finding them. And you're going to find them by doing dailies for Fighters Guild, Undaunted pledges, daily quests, PvP quests, rewards of the worthy. During ESO events, you can find stuff too. So all of that stuff you can usually do. It just depends on what you want to do it. But any final questions? I'm gonna set this to ending soon, or we can get going here in a minute. But any final questions too, you can always message me in the Discord. We linked it below, and it's also linked in the YouTube description. I don't know why my computer's now playing audio. But thank you guys all for being here. I hope that we can get some Twitch drops soon too, because I feel like it's like, where are all the Twitch drops? You know, I want to give people a reason to watch me live stream as opposed to just, you know, being here on stream. I love that you guys are here on stream, don't get me wrong, but I always feel like you guys should at least get like a crown crate for doing it, you know? You guys have to put up with me for free. It's wild. This raid has been... Why is it not going? There it goes. But I'm going to send you to Camul. If you guys have any questions or anything else, just let me know, and I'll catch you guys later.